Hey guys, in this part 1 of the countertop video, I'll be showing you guys how I made the countertop slabs for the kitchen countertops at the project house. Alright, so I started by making the two side pieces that go on either side of the stove, just because I wanted to try it on the small pieces first. All the pieces cut down on the table saw, took about 1/8 of an inch off each side. And I'm going to take some Type Bond and I'm going to glue two pieces together first, and then after I'm going to glue two of those pieces together to give me the length that I need. And I didn't cut these perfectly. I did about 1 foot because the countertops over there are like 11 inches, 11 and a half. So once we get them over there, we'll cut them exactly. For these two small pieces, I use two 2x6s by 8 foot. And then for the larger pieces that I'm gonna make next, I ended up using 10 of the 2x6 by 8 foot pieces. So I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'll do the other two because I don't have enough clamps. Alright guys, oops, got a lot of wood. Thankfully this is the bottom. I'm gonna scrape all this off while it's still a little bit wet. Sorry, I got. Alright, next I did the next two pieces together with the small clamps, and then after that was dry, I added the third piece. Guys, these have been drying for a couple hours already. I'm gonna go ahead and take the clamps off and I'm gonna plane these pieces before I join them together. And then once I get them joined, if they need to do another pass, I'll go ahead and do another pass. Sanded. I ended up using the sander more. So this is my top. I got the 2-piece and 3-piece, and I'm gonna join it together. I'm gonna use a pocket hole and also wood glue. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn around, make the pocket holes, put the screws in, and then glue it together and clamp it. Maybe not, I don't have the pocket jig here. I left it at the house, so I'm gonna glue it, and I think it'll be all right to do them after. I'm gonna go ahead and glue this. Okay, after that we just let these pieces dry, and once they were dry we pulled them off of the table. They got a little bit stuck, and then we went ahead and did a sand, and then we put them off to the side. Next we got started on the pieces for the large countertops. Alright guys, I got everything ripped down and I put the pieces that I'm gonna glue together. So these two, these three, those two, and those three. And then once those pieces are dry, I'll take two of those pieces, a 3 and a 2, and put it together. Alright, so this first piece is dry, and I'm going to take the glue off, and then I have a hand planer and the electric planer, and some of this is uneven, so I'm going to try to even it out and then sand it all with 120 grit to eat up the uneven surfaces, and then at the end we'll do 220 on it. Alright guys, I got my first two sections that I'm going to glue together here. So, alright, we got a 3-piece and a 2-piece. We're going to join it together, we're going to glue it, and I'm also going to flip it over, and I'm going to put some pocket screws, but I'm not sure if I want to do that right now. I think I'm going to drill the holes right now and then put the screws in after it's dry. So I'm gonna flip this over, drill the pocket holes, flip it back over, and we'll glue it together. Alright, got my pocket holes in. I'm actually gonna go ahead and glue it, put the screws in, clamp it, and then flip it over and put it on top of the bench over here. So alright guys, so right here I just forgot to record when I was putting the wood glue on the 2 pieces. So basically right here I have wood glue on the pieces, and I push them together with my hands, and then after that I'm going to screw it in with the pocket screws, and then I'm going to clamp it together. Alright, the next morning I came in and I did the same thing with the other 2 pieces that I had. I glued them together, clamped them together, and screwed them together. A lot of sanding went into this one. I started with 60 grit, and then I went on to 80 grit. I went ahead and cut the ends off and cut the first piece to length using the AccuCut and my handsaw. This will be the piece that has the sink in it. Next, I went ahead and filled all the large cracks and knots with wood filler. Another round of sanding. This final sanding I did with 120 grit. Alright guys, I got one countertop here. This one's already been sanded. I'm gonna do like another one with the 120 and the 220, but I did with the 60 and got it down pretty much flat. Got the two small ones down there. So I'm just gonna run to the house real quick and measure again before I cut these, so I don't have to mess anything up. So I already cut this one to length, 94 1/4, and this is gonna be the shorter piece. So I'm just gonna go make sure my measurements are right. Just double check. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back guys. I went and got my measurements. Next I'm going to, I already cut this one down a size. I'm gonna cut this one, I'm gonna cut them down a size, and then we'll do some more sanding. Alright guys, my bad. I forgot to record when I was cutting, but I cut this down. I used the Craig AccuCut and just my handsaw, and I got it down to the measurements. Now I'm gonna put these on the table saw and trim a little off of the sides. I'll try to get video of this. Alright guys, so I thought the table saw was gonna be too hard to run this whole thing down, and I don't have a ruler long enough for this. So I took a piece of cedar that I had with a straight edge, and I just measured the depth of where my blade's at. So I'm just cutting off like 1/2 inch, guys. That's all I really need to take off. It's 26 inches. I need 25 1/2 over there. So this is how we're gonna do it. So wish me luck. My goodness. Alright guys, there we have it. Definitely not perfect. I'll fix that, but I think it'll work. The grout and the tile are going over the countertop, so I think that'll be able to be hidden. Glue that together. So sorry for the lighting too. Yeah, we'll fix it. Definitely not perfect, but we're learning. So we got it set up how it's going to be in the kitchen. L shape. Sink's going to be right here. And so we still got some high spots. I'm just going to sand these down. I don't want to throw a planer on there. It's been making like scratches. Not really proficient with the planer. So we're just gonna sand. I got some 60 grit that I've been using to bring it down, and then I'll go over it with 120 and then 220.
One eternity later.
Finally, we used the router to round out the edges of the countertops. A little bit more sanding, and this is what the final slabs for the countertops look like.